City Council Committee of the Whole met in the council chamber on Wednesday, October 26, 2011 at 6:30 p.m. for the purpose of discussing the matters listed below. Notice of this meeting was posted on October 21st, 2011 at 9:45 a.m. This meeting is being recorded and it's also on SATV. Absent and excused is Councilor Ronan. All the councilors are here. The subject we have on the agenda is order number 620, Mass Health Insurance Reform Law. And before we begin, since the majority of the councilors have conflicts, I have to read this rule of necessity. The rule of necessity may be used if a board is unable to act on a matter because it lacks the number of members required to take a valid official vote, solely because members are disqualified by the conflict of interest law from acting. The matter before the City Council, adoption of Mass General Law 32B, Sections 21 to 23, cannot be acted upon by City Council unless the rule of necessity is invoked, because the Council lacks a quorum to take an official vote on this matter, because at least 6 members of the Council are disqualified as they or immediate family members participate in City Health Plan. An immediate family member is defined as a spouse and/or the parents, siblings, and children of both the municipal employee and spouse. I, Councilor Jerry Ryan, have a conflict of interest because my brother is a police officer and my sister is a teacher, and they both participate in the city's health insurance. I hereby invoke the rule of necessity so that I and all other councilors may deliberate and vote on the adoption of this general law under the authority of the rule of necessity. Each disqualified member who wishes to participate under the rule of necessity must first disclose publicly the facts that created the conflict, and then he and she may deliberate and vote tonight. If you have a conflict, it must be stated and become part of the minutes. At this time, I would open it up for members who are disqualified due to conflict to make the disclosure so they may participate. If you are disqualified and do not make the disclosure, you will not be able to participate in the deliberation or vote. So we'll go around, and if you have a conflict, you just need to read that second paragraph I read. Just remove my name and insert your name. If you want to start, I don't think, Council Levy, I don't think you have a conflict.
Well, I take the dental insurance. Does that give me a conflict?
Yep.
The city solicitor said the dental is not,
It's not,
so
okay.
it's not your own.
Dental's not, so I have to read what you
Council,
read.
just read the second paragraph and insert your name, and
Standing or sitting?
you can sit.
Sit.
Yes.
Okay. I, Councilor Stephen Pinto, have a conflict of interest because
Me?
Did you take insurance?
because I participate in the city's health insurance. I hereby invoke the rule of necessity so that I and all other councilors may deliberate and vote on the adoption of this general law under the authority and rule of necessity.
Okay. Council Sergeant?
Please. I, Councilor Arthur C. Sargent III, have a conflict of interest because 2 of my brother-in-laws are firefighters and participate in the healthcare system. I hereby invoke the rule of necessity so that I and all other councilors may deliberate and vote on the adoption of this general law under the authority of the rule of necessity.
Council McCarthy?
I, Robert K. McCarthy, have a conflict of interest because my wife participates in the city's health insurance. I hereby invoke the rule of necessity so that I and all other councilors may deliberate and vote on the adoption of this general law under the authority of the rule of necessity.
Council Pelletier?
I, Councilor Councilor John Pelletier, participates in the city's health insurance. I hereby invoke the rule of necessity so that I and all other councilors may deliberate and vote on the adoption of this general law under the authority of the rule of necessity.
Thank you. Council Fury?
Yes, please. I, Councillor Thomas H. Fury, have a conflict of interest because of my sister Mary L. Fury is a retired member and participates in the city's health insurance. I hereby invoke the rule of necessity so that I and all other councillors may deliberate and vote on the adoption of this general law under the authority of the rule of necessity.
Thank you. Council Sosnowski?
I, Councilor Michael Sosnowski, have a conflict of interest because my wife and I participate in the city health insurance. I hereby invoke the rule of necessity so that I and all other councilors may deliberate and vote on the adoption of this general law under the authority of the rule of necessity.
Council Ronan's not here. Councilor O'Keefe?
I, Councilor Joseph A. O'Keefe Sr., have a conflict of interest because my sons Francis, Edward, and Kevin O'Keefe, members of the Salem Fire Department, participate in the city's health insurance. I hereby invoke the rule of necessity so that I and all other councilors may deliberate and vote on the adoption of this general law under the authority of the rule of necessity.
So I think we'll open it up with the mayor. What? No. The mayor, you want to begin the presentation?
Sure. I just thought it would be helpful to go through briefly what the legislation, the new legislation entails and what that process is. And for folks, we've passed out handouts to the counselors, but there's some here. If anyone else is in the chamber and didn't get one, I'll leave them up at the front of the room. It's the same handouts that the counselors have, just a condensed version. So just starting off with a quick summary, the new health insurance reform law was signed on July 12th, so this summer, following the conclusion of our budget process, was adopted. Under the law, the Administration and Finance Office provides regulations for how the actual legislation will be implemented. There are interim regulations in place to currently give some guidance to communities on how to move forward with the new law, and there's a copy of those on A&F's website if you're interested. They have been soliciting input, really want to make sure they're hearing from collective bargaining unions and communities on the best way to implement this new law. A lot of it has to deal with notice and provisions and when things need to be sent. That's a critical component under the legislation, is making sure people are properly notified. Some of the benefits of the new law: significant and immediate savings to cities and towns. One of the struggles that communities have had is the length of time and the ability to get consensus amongst all of their collective bargaining units. As we know, prior to the adoption of the law, and certainly prior to the acceptance, if it's not accepted by our community, requires each of our 8 collective bargaining unions to agree to any changes in health insurance plan design. Modest changes relative to co-pays, larger changes relative to carriers and things like that. All of it required not just 1 or 2 or 3 or a majority, but all 8 unions to agree. We have had some success over the last several years modifying our plan designs, being able to work with our unions in a number of ways, but it takes a tremendous amount of time and effort. We have also had setbacks when we weren't able to make changes, and we've seen the benefit, or I guess I should say the disadvantage of that in some of our budgeting as well. So another benefit of the new law is the flexibility for local government over those sorts of decisions. Sometimes modest changes in co-pays provide really big savings on annual premiums, and being able to do that is certainly a benefit and provides us with greater flexibility. It does preserve the role of labor unions. We'll go through what that process entails. It also adds retirees into the mix. In the past, retirees had very little say-so over what type of insurance we offered and what their percentages would entail, and changes in co-pays. Now they have a seat at the table under the new law. It also protects the health care quality for employees and retirees. By setting the GIC as a benchmark, very good insurance, very good plans, it ensures that communities will still offer quality plans to their employees and their retirees. Provides an orderly process for changes in co-pays and deductibles and other cost-sharing features. Again, we've had some success and some setbacks in terms of trying to get there. Gives us an opportunity to do that. One thing to note, contribution rates. We're currently at 75-25. Those are not subject to this law. Those are still subject to collective bargaining. So if we wanted to change the percentage that employees change, that goes through your typical collective bargaining process. That does not come into effect under this law. It also has a component for savings to be shared with enrollees, especially those that are most affected by the changes. So those modest copay changes are modest to most people, but there may be some employees who have either high prescription amounts or lots of specialized services that would impact them differently. And one of the components of the new law is a percentage going back to help folks who may in fact be negatively impacted by changes in plan design. So local option, the law provides for a local option process. That means we can't utilize the new law unless the city council agrees to it. There's 2 ways that local option works. You can implement health care plan savings in 2 ways. 1, through plan design. Like I said, we've had some success doing that. You can change some of your co-pays. You can add co-pays. You can work through your existing carriers to see what type of plan changes you can make to reduce those premium costs. Or you can join the group insurance commission. Cities and towns have a much easier way to do that now if, in fact, that would garner savings as well. Let's go through what those options look like in greater detail, because I think many people look at this new law as just cities and towns being able to move into the GIC, and frankly, it's much more complicated than that and requires a greater deal of analysis and assessment. It's not just moving city and town unions into the GIC plan. So the law allows adjustments to our plan's co-pays, deductibles, and other cost-sharing plan design features. as long as those features are not higher than the GIC. So that now becomes the benchmark. The most popular plans within the GIC, the most subscribed plans, both for retirees and for employees, become the benchmark that cities and towns have to at least meet. You cannot go below that in terms of offering plans that are different. That becomes a benchmark that all cities and towns need to have as a guide. Information on all those plans are available on the GIC website, and there is a menu of options in the GIC. One of the things employees who are in the GIC talk about is the number of choices you have. In order to create a benchmark, they had to pick a plan, so they looked at the plans that are most popular, the ones that have the highest subscribers throughout the state system, and those become the goal in terms of savings for communities, or if you're already, for some communities, they may already be offering plans that are similar to the GIC. They may not see as great a savings, but that becomes the new benchmark. The other option is to simply join the GIC. When I say simply, it is not a simple process. You have to, the transfer to the GIC is only possible if your community can show savings of at least 5%. And that's not 5% from what your current plan is, that's 5% from modifying your current plans. So our plans that we have in place right now, we have to work with our current insurance carrier, have them modify those plans to come as close to as they can to the most popular GIC plans. Once we do that, we will certainly have a number and assessment. If we can then still save 5% by going into the GIC by doing that, and for us 5% is about $600,000, only then would you have some sort of a greater leg up in terms of going into the GIC. If you can't demonstrate a minimum of 5% savings, you cannot automatically go into the GIC. So it really does require a lot of assessment and a lot of analysis up front by our community, working with our employees to understand what we have for options. Your own plan design changes that mimic the GIC's most popular plans, or actually going into the GIC, getting those numbers, doing that assessment, working through those comparisons. So what the process looks like, the first step is obviously to adopt the new law. That creates the process for changing health insurance plan design going forward, and we need a majority of the City Council to vote to adopt the legislation. We will then analyze our health insurance options and we prepare proposals. We'll ask our insurance carrier, work with them to look at the GIC most popular plans, start developing a plan design model that compares to that plan. We'll look at what our GIC options would look like if we went into the GIC and put those most subscribed plans through the analysis factor. What do those numbers look like? We then sit down with our Insurance Advisory Commission. That's the existing Insurance Advisory Commission that we have met with throughout the number of years we've been talking about health insurance, which seems like forever, and share with them some of that information. The 30-day time frame that has been talked about a lot, the 30-day time frame doesn't begin until we sit down with the PEC. This is a new group. Now, we've always had an Insurance Advisory Commission. Under the legislation, we also have a Public Employee Committee. Some of those people may, in fact, be the same. A lot of the unions have a go-to person that really deals with the insurance, somebody who really understands it and grasps it, and some of those folks who are on the IAC will also be on the PEC. But in addition to having the unions, we'll also have a retiree rep sitting on that PEC who can also factor in and weigh in. Once you have your PEC established and you begin meetings, that's when the 30-day clock starts ticking in terms of trying to reach an agreement. I should also point out, it's been clear through discussions with A&F, that if both sides can agree to extend that 30 days, if for some reason you're having constructive dialogue but you need a little bit more time, and if both sides agree to that, you can extend that period of time. But the idea is to get to an end point, so you don't find yourself in a circumstance where you're just continuing dialogue, not making any progress, and also not able to make any changes in health insurance that would actually save you money. If for some reason you're not able to reach agreement with the PEC, you then go to this 3-person health insurance review panel, or HERP, they're calling it. That's when that comes into play. It has a city rep, a labor rep, and a person appointed by the state A&F office to help come reach a decision. You have to comply with the statute, all those things I talked about, showing the minimum of the 5% savings, sharing any of the savings with the employees up to 25%, all that comes into play. You won't get an agreement adopted by this insurance review panel if it doesn't comply with the regulations around those items I just talked about. So next steps for us, we are hoping that you're going to adopt the legislation this month. It's critical to us in terms of the timeline that we need to follow in order to put savings in place for fiscal year 2013. Once that were to happen, we'd start working on a proposal, a plan design change proposal or a GIC proposal, or maybe both. I think we'll probably look at both options to understand what those dollars look like. With either proposal, again, we have to demonstrate estimated savings in the first 12 months. If it's at least 5%, there's a little bit of a leg up to going to the GIC. We must include all the analysis to support those savings, where it's coming from, what our information source is. We also have to include a mitigation plan for showing how we're going to help those folks who might be disproportionately affected, people who are going to pay more co-pays or find themselves buying higher prescriptions, things of that nature. And obviously, we have to show the savings, the sharing of the savings of up to 25% with our employee and collective bargaining groups. The reason I think it's critical for us to act this month, right away, is a couple of reasons. One, many of the options have time constraints. To make a transition from health insurance, even modest plan design changes, takes at least 60 days. And we know that directly from experience. Changing over cards, changing over all the information you have to for our existing employees and retirees, that's 1,500 participants, getting all the information out, making all those changes with our insurance carrier it can be a bit of a nightmare. It takes a minimum of 60 days. In order to join the GIC, if that became one of the options that we wanted to pursue, you can only get in with 90 days notice. If we're trying to put savings in place for next fiscal year, July 1, we start preparing that budget, you know this, in the spring. So it's October already. We start hitting November, December. It really does influence our ability to make these changes happen for next fiscal year. Second, I guess, the council's already adopted 2 resolutions supporting changes in health insurance law. As early as last May, we reached out to the legislature and said, we want greater flexibility. We want the opportunity to join the GIC or make plan design changes. We did that in the hopes that they would give us legislation. Well, they did. Our state rep, John Keenan, our state senator, Fred Berry, overwhelmingly Democratic legislature and governor adopted this law. We want to be able to take advantage of it. Any delays that have an impact on our ability to do so, then it start to impact our budget and certainly start to impact 2013. One example of what happens when we don't have this legislation just occurred this past spring. So we spent the better part, I think, of May and June talking with all 8 of our collective bargaining unions about the opportunity to save $368,000 on health insurance cost by tweaking some of the co-pays on our current plans, modifying, I think, an ER copay. I think there was an MRI copay that was adjusted. For the most part, fairly modest copay adjustments. We got 6 of our 8 unions to agree to it. 2 didn't. Because 2 didn't, we are now paying a 7.34% increase as opposed to a 4.3% increase in health insurance, or for us, $368,000 more. That's this year in the budget that we adopted. $368,000 more because 2 unions wouldn't agree with us. These were modest copays that would provide us with some savings. I'm hoping that we can move quickly on this, and when I say quickly, I think this issue's been long overdue. We've been talking about this for 3 years. We've had 2 resolutions adopted. I don't think we're rushing. I think it's good news if we can get this legislation passed, sit down, start doing the analysis, work through all the comparisons, obviously have discussions with our employee groups, put ourselves in a position not only to save money, but to help us deliver quality, affordable health insurance. That's going to help us preserve jobs. That's also going to help us keep cost affordable to taxpayers. I know that's something that we talk a lot about during budget season, during non-budget season. How can we be more efficient? And when we spend $11 million for health insurance, if we can save anywhere near 5%, you're looking at a minimum of $600,000, and we think probably it's going to be closer to a higher number when you start factoring in the GIC. So I'm hopeful that the council will act tonight to refer this to out with whatever recommendation and then vote on this tomorrow so we can start the process of analyzing this information and put ourselves in the best position possible to reap savings in next fiscal year. And happy to answer any questions councilors may have pertaining to the legislation. I also want to thank both the City Solicitor, Beth Renard, and the HR Director, Lisa Camerata, for being here. We're all spending a lot of time, along with Rich Fisquet, trying to make sure we understand what the law says, how we can put it into place, what the next steps are, and put ourselves in a position to offer good insurance, but to do so in a more affordable manner.
Councilor Pinto, then Councilor Sosnowski.
Through you, Mr. President. Your Honor, do we have any idea exactly how much we're going to save? Does it depend on the GIC or which plan? Do we have a ballpark?
Yeah, so a minimum of 5% savings, if we hit that minimum threshold, would be $600,000 for us.
That's minimum.
That's minimum. Communities that have moved into the GIC have saved significantly more than 5%. So once we start doing the analysis, I think we'll have a better better handle on what that is. But we know a minimum threshold to even move into the GIC would be $600,000.
Okay. Are we presently in negotiations with any unions?
Well, our unions all of our collective bargaining agreements have expired, and we are in discussions with several of the unions.
That's it for now, Mr. President.
Council Sosnowski.
Thank you, Mr. President. Through you to the owner, to the mayor, please. Your Honor, these collective unions, you're presently in discussions with them. Everything has expired, but when you say you're in discussions, have you explained this new situation to each of these 8 units yet?
Well, most of the discussions we've had have been not all related to health insurance, and we're not in discussions with all 8. It comes in dribs and drabs. We've had dialogue with the teachers' union. I know we started dialogue with AFSCME. Who else am I missing? Anybody else? Is that about it? Teachers have a couple of different units. So, I mean, there certainly will be lengthy discussion about health insurance under this process, and health insurance certainly plays a role in our collective bargaining, given the cost factors associated with this.
Well, the reason why I say that is because, I mean, obviously, looking at this, you need to be a lawyer to interpret a lot of what's going on here, all right, in the legalese of what's being said. All right, I just wonder if they've had a time to digest what's being asked of them, all right? And if that's the case, fine, you know, because I just want them to be able to say, yeah, we've talked about this, and we're going to be doing this, we're going to go into constructive conversations and see where we are.
Well, we've spent the last 3 years talking with our employees about health insurance, changing from a $5 copay to be able to modify that to a $15 or $20 copay, offering incentives to do that, offering wage incentives to do that. So talking about health insurance with our employee unions is not a new discussion whatsoever. This really allows us to put the analysis together and then to understand what the impacts are and sit down and have that dialogue in a more constructive setting, frankly.
Yeah, we supported going with the increase of the copays from 5 to 15, 20, whatever that was.
Yep.
But relative to the GIC benchmarks, do you know what those copays would be then?
Well, the GIC, as I said, they have the most popular plans. I don't know how the copays compare. I know that you have to have at least a minimum threshold of savings. Their most popular plan is on their website. I mean, frankly, some of our employees are on the GIC and have offered that they have a myriad of plans and options for employees. Some have lower copays, some have higher copays. Joan, you're on it. I mean, you may know more about it than I do, frankly.
Because I'm trying to figure out fact from fiction here, because I've heard from some folks that the copays for an ER room visit is $100, all right? And I've heard that a doctor's visit is $50, and that's a significant increase over what we've been doing right now.
So there are, I believe there's almost a dozen plans on the GIC, so you have a menu of options to choose from, and it depends on what plan may be best for you.
So if we say yes to this, each individual, even the individuals can choose the plan, or who chooses the plan?
So only if we went into the GIC. The dialogue would begin with us analyzing, can we even reap savings of at least 5% based on designing our own plans? If we can't reap those savings, then we don't have the option to go into the GIC. If we can at least save 5%, then we sit down with our unions and say, we can do this over here with plan design changes and modifying them, or we can go into the GIC and save this amount. So it then becomes a discussion back and forth about what's the most constructive way to move forward.
And then one last question to you, Mr. President. Again, Your Honor, you can negotiate a different GIC plan with potentially eight different plans?
No.
Or does
The
it have to be
discussion
one
is
plan?
one plan design change that would have, a copay structures laid out more similar to what we have now, or go into the GIC. Once you went into the GIC, for comparison's sake, I need to use the plan that is the most popular. That's in order to meet that threshold for 5%. If the decision was made to go into the GIC, either by negotiation or because we can't reach agreement or however we got there, once you're in, then all of the employees have access to all of the plans that are in the GIC and can make choices. They have more plans than we have. We frankly have one plan, and a PPO, an HMO, and those are your choices. The GIC has several to offer choices for folks depending upon what their needs are.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
What's that? Council
Okay,
Sergeant, then Council Brewer.
Well, like a lot of the plans we have at work, you don't find out what you're really covered for until you need it, and need it bad. When you have a small thing happen and it's a small co-payment, it's one thing, but when you have something large happen, especially with the older folks, you find out about the deductibles and the limits on certain things. And that's a difficult time to find out that, is when you need it the most. You find out that, for a transplant, there's a limit to what they cover, and you're eligible for the top end of it. whatever that may be. Now, you said some of the bargaining groups had agreed to things beforehand and some hadn't.
Yep.
Are the ones that didn't agree in negotiations for new contracts now, or are they in?
They were all in negotiation, Counselor, so I believe I don't mean to call anybody out, but I believe the firefighters and the city AFSCME unit did not want to agree to the health insurance tweak, modification that would have saved the $300,000 this year. So that's it, by the way. Under the current way we operate, if one group says we don't want to do that, and we've had that happen in the past, we can't implement those savings. The best part about this legislation is we have an opportunity to implement cost savings measures that make sense by a majority vote, and if we have at least a minimum threshold of 5%, it doesn't preclude us from making those changes and having that 3-member panel come in and sort of confirm that you're offering those savings and you still have the GIC as the benchmark.
I thought I read, skimming through this, that there's provisions for people to come and go on this plan, as far as some of the city people. If that's the case, wouldn't one group be able to take it if they wanted to, and another group be able to come on later? It seems like they mentioned that there's provisions here for
Do you know what I'm talking about?
when you have new people join in. If you're on this, then
There's open enrollment periods that exist in every plan. We have that as well. And then there are triggering factors. If you suppose your spouse had insurance and he or she lost that job, then you were certainly eligible to come on to the insurance. But once we sign up, I believe it's 2 years, right? Whatever we do is, if we were to go into the GIC, it would be a 2-year commitment.
Wouldn't different groups in the city that have health insurance, if people wanted a voluntary join this, wouldn't you be able to join with those people?
I'm sorry, I'm not following you, Counselor.
Well, if you had half the city employees wanted to join this voluntarily, wouldn't they be able to join?
Join the GIC?
No, join this, take this plan, take whatever you have here, whatever you want us to have. And then it sounds like it says if somebody has different insurance and they go from that to this, there's certain rules and regulations for that. So wouldn't one group, or whoever wanted to, be able to join voluntarily, and then other units that came in later come in as if they were new employees, or a new division that you started or something like that?
No, I'm not familiar with that.
They're
We
saying
have.
that every city employee has to be on this at the same time?
Yeah, so the way it would work is we negotiate for our health insurance as a group, and you have to subscribe to the plans that we currently offer. And frankly, we don't offer as many plans as the GIC, and you're within our model. If in fact we sit down and start doing the comparison, my sense is we have our current plans that we offer, and traditionally they go up every single calendar year just based on claims history and cost of insurance increasing. We would then have a plan design modification that would reflect the GIC benchmark, and then we would have the GIC. So we'd sit down with our unions and say, here are our options: the plan design modification that mimics the GIC or the GIC. Here are the different costs. How do we figure this out in terms of a way that makes sense? And hopefully we can come to some agreement on that. We've been able to reach agreement numerous times before. We've also had some times when I wish we were able to reach agreement for things that seemed small in nature that would have certainly helped. Small in nature meaning some of the copay tweaks I just mentioned. I don't certainly mean to indicate that health insurance is not an emotional issue that impacts people, and we've really worked hard to try and educate our employees and to rein in these costs. It's the same insurance that I carry. It's the same insurance that many of you carry or your family members carry. No one's talking about trying to offer insurance that isn't really quality, but trying to do so as efficiently as we can is the idea. And it does operate as a group, so I'm not sure how it wouldn't be split. We wouldn't be able to split groups, half go one way, half go another. It's really designed to either we stay in our own plan design cocoon or we go in a GIC cocoon, but once you make that decision, it would be everybody as a entire municipality and retirees.
Thank you. I'm all set.
Council Prevey.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, through you. Mayor, the handout that you gave us under the section where it says the process, could you describe in a little bit more detail the differences in the relationship between it's IAC, PEC, and HERP?
Yep.
In terms of who makes up those folks, where do they, how
Great
do
acronyms, huh?
I know.
So the Insurance Advisory Commission is a group we currently use, representatives of each of the union that get together to talk about changes in health insurance. Even if, even this goes back to when the city was self-insured, reviewing what the health insurance increases are, understanding what the impacts are, and there's a representative from each of the employee collective bargaining units on that group. Currently exists.
In this instance, there'd be 8 people then, essentially.
Yeah,
And
some
then
of the unions send more than one person. I don't know how many, it's usually 8 to 12 people, really, generally speaking.
Okay.
And it operates informally, formally, we get together on an as-needed basis. We were getting together, frankly, mid-year to review some of our claims. Look at this, we had a lot of people going to the emergency room who just didn't want to go to their primary care. How can we educate folks about the value of that? So we've tried to use that group as a way to help folks understand all of these things have a cost that we do, and how can we even impact behaviors in a way that would ultimately help us all drive down insurance costs. So that exists. That's a creature of statute currently that we need to follow. The new law would set up what's called a PEC, a Public Employee Committee, which would be one of the representatives from each of the unions, along with a retiree. I suspect that the folks who have been serving on the IAC will morph into the PEC, because those are the folks who know the most. A lot of the unions have 1 or 2 members that really follow the insurance, understand it the best, and get involved in the nitty-gritty details. When we set up the PEC and begin the notification process of really wanting to have meetings, we'd have already done a lot of the analysis, already had a lot of the comparisons, and that's when your clock starts ticking, and it becomes a little bit more formal process. Here are the comparisons, here's how they equate, here's what this would cost, looking at numbers and trying to understand what's in everybody's best interest to move forward. If, in fact, the PEC cannot reach agreement, either within that 30-day period or whatever expanded time frame both sides were to agree to, then it moves to this health insurance review panel. And I'm going to look at Lisa or Beth, fill in blanks here. If you folks have spent much more time on this than I have. So if there's something that I'm missing, let's make sure we let the council know about it. The HERP would consist of a city rep, a labor rep, and a rep from A&F, somebody they assign. And they would review what the final proposal was. So we go through this whole PEC process. We can't reach agreement on a proposal. We want to move forward with Plan A, whatever Plan A is. Is it the GIC? Is it a plan design concept? How are we sharing the 25%? What are we doing for the folks most impacted? That would all be in a proposal that we would say, no, you know what? We want to implement our proposal. We can't reach agreement. This is the proposal A is what we want to implement. This HERP group would review it to make sure it complies with the statute. What are you saving? Is the GIC benchmark being met? Is the health insurance the GIC quality? Are you sharing the 25% with your employees? Are the folks that are most impacted being protected? Are there some protections in place for them? And if that's the case, they would issue a decision within 30 days to confirm the proposal, allow you to go further and implement, or make you modify it. No, you didn't hit that threshold, or no, this is different, or this doesn't qualify. And how you generate savings, and how do you calculate that? You want to make sure that it all is consistent and applicable with the statute. So why this is different than what we currently have is, in the past, just this spring, when we couldn't get all of our groups to agree to modifying health insurance changes, those co-pays I mentioned to you earlier, we just can't implement them. The clock stops, the process goes away, and we pay $366,000 more for health insurance this year. This law doesn't allow that to happen. If you can't reach agreement, there is an ending process with this HERP committee, and it allows you to either implement and save or fix it so that you're in a process of implementing consistent with the legislation.
Who selects the city representative that sits on it?
I think the administration does, correct? Some of this is learning by doing, because obviously it's a new law, so.
And what about the labor rep?
I think a majority of the labor of the PEC, right?
PEC, okay. And you'd already mentioned A&F will
A&F
choose
will
someone.
picks the third person.
Okay.
Yeah, they'll actually give us a list of 3, and then the PEC can choose the impartial person. Right. Also provide an actuary too. Okay, so the A&F will give you 3 people that both sides must agree on, and also provides an actuary so that you can help understand what the cost structure is and making sure everyone's coming up with the same comparisons.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Mr. President.
Councilor O'Keefe?
How long, through you, Mr. President, how long, and the city within 30 days, if no agreement can be reached, the last note, what does that mean?
If you can't reach an agreement, then you go to the PEC, and they
You go
would
back
then
to-
have to, I don't know what their timeline is, the HERP. 10 days.
So it all goes back to line 4.
So Counselor O'Keefe, so there's 30 days for the PEC in the city to reach, which we're a part of this PEC, to reach agreement on a proposal. If we need more time to do that, and if both sides agree, let's take another couple of weeks to try and figure this out, you have the opportunity to do that.
Mayor, can you explain who is on the PEC? I know you explained it to Councilor Prevey,
A
but,
representative from each of the unions and a
Eight unions,
retiree.
okay? And then a retiree? Mm-hmm. And how is a retiree selected?
I believe PERAC helps the association.
RSCMA, Retired State Community Municipal Employees, actually designated a person.
Okay, so
Okay.
it's not the commission itself, it's the
And
association.
again, the three-person Health Insurance Review Board, that's ANF, state ANF?
Correct.
Administration at the State House has one vote. Has one role, right? One person.
Yep.
And who are the other two?
A city rep would be one of the people. The
Who from the city? That's
Probably
what I'm
the
asking.
solicitor, the HR director, I don't know. I'm hoping we don't have to get to the point where we need to go to the Health Insurance Review Panel. But there would be a city rep, a union rep selected by the PEC, and a third person that A&F put forward that it sounds like both sides need to agree on. They'd give you 3 names, PEC and city, not unlike when you hire an arbitrator. Both sides sort of reach agreement on who they think could be the arbitrator. In this case, though, it's that 3-member panel.
And if no, Mr. President, if no final agreement, it can come from the 3-person
No.
Health Insurance Review. It can go extend 30 days.
Nope. So the 30-day period is for the PEC. That's all of us getting together and trying to hash out an agreement. If that, in fact, cannot happen, then it goes to the 3-person HIRP, Health Insurance Review Panel. They will have an actuarial that also assists them, and there'll be 10 days for that group to issue a decision. And the decision is really confirming any proposal that you put forward to your public employee committee has to comport with the statute, the minimum savings, the givebacks of the 25%, the ability to have the GIC serve as the benchmark.
All right, thank you.
Yep, you're welcome.
Council Sosnowski?
No, actually, Council Prevey asked the questions I was going to ask.
All
Thank
right,
you.
I just wanted to ask, like, get around the time frame.
Yep.
Like, right now, the way it works, without this whole thing, you meet with all the unions, the 8, 9, whatever unions there are. And if not all, all of them have to agree to the healthcare changes, right?
That's
Or else
correct.
you can't change the plan. Under this new thing, if we pass this, it allows you, I'm trying to get like a time frame to,
Yeah.
you said 90 days, you have to give, if it even goes to the point when that committee meets,
Yep.
that they decide that you want to go to the GIC, you get to give them 90 days, and then you said like 60 days to do
Just a
printing,
simple
whatever.
transition, right, on plan design.
So like, I just want to go through this right now. If we pass this tomorrow, what
Yep.
would the process
So
be?
we'd start evaluating our health insurance coverage and determining the savings. That is not just us, that's also working with our current carriers. Saying to them, look, we need a plan that mimics the GIC's most popular plan. That means we've got to go to Maya, they've got to start working on plans that would say to us, based on what you currently have, here's what the GIC comparable is, based on their most popular plans, the number of subscribers we have with your claims history, what that proposal would look like would be thus and such. Start giving us a proposal.
Do you know how
And-
long that would take them approximately?
I don't. I mean, I think they are aware that a lot of communities are working on this, but it takes time to generate that information to get your claims history. I mean, they're looking at, they want to have as up-to-the-date, current, and fresh information as they can, so they're probably going to go back and look at our claims history, start putting together, you know, what the GIC subscriber plan looks like. They have to compare our co-pays now. In some areas, our co-pays are similar, in some they're not. So really start breaking down. We get sheets that look something like this from Maya, you know, all of the co-pay deductibles, what do they look like? They'd have to generate one of these for something similar to the GIC plan. Start to plug in numbers based on our claims history, what that's going to look like. Once we have that proposal, we'd probably also want to look at a GIC proposal. Okay, if we went into the GIC, that means we're working with the folks at the GIC about what do their rates look like? What's it going to look like for 2013? They start to tell you that probably just after the first of the year before they really know what their estimated rates are for the next fiscal year. So we can start looking at some comparisons. We would then take that information, let's see what kind of models we can come up with for a proposal that we need to have to make to the PEC. What are the savings going to be? How are we going to share those? How are folks going to be impacted? Now, keep in mind, if you guys adopt this tomorrow, which I hope that you do, You've got one meeting in November, I guess that if you weren't to do it, it just really starts to back up the timeline. We've got to get people together. November's a holiday, December are holidays. It's tough getting all these groups together on a regular basis and educating them. Some of our employee unions don't even know the parameters of this law because they haven't been following it as well. So we want to make sure folks are aware of it, understand what those issues are. Those assessments take time. It's not completely in our control, but we'd be hopeful we could get something back and running in the next month. Sit down with the IAC, go over those informally. Get our arms around get their input, what we liked, what we don't like. We hate this copay, we think this makes sense. Maybe we ought to look at this, try and get some direction as to what might be a more palatable proposal. Once we get our arms around what their issues are and maybe put together an actual proposal, then we have to notify the PEC. What's the notification on that? Roughly, whatever the time, there's strict notification, so.
The PEC is what starts the clock ticking.
Right. We have to notify them before we can meet, we have to have formal meetings.
When would
and-
you start forming that PEC? When would that be formed in this process?
Well, as soon as we get the information on the proposals and the comparison, so
That would be like the end of November if it was like 30 days.
I hope it's the end of November. Let's say that we have all the information together, we can put a proposal together, the end of November, beginning of December. We're able to start with the PEC. 30-day timeline puts us to the end of the calendar year. Let's say we're able to either reach agreement, that gives us 6 months to start implementing for 2013. I'm going to guess it's going to take a little bit longer, just from prior experience, that it's hard to build coalitions and support and understand and educate people along the way. Some of the employee groups have to go back to their unions for votes, so even that takes timeline. Some of them have 2-week notification requirements, so even if your PEC has your arms around something, they've got to go back to their respective members and take votes oftentimes to get the authority to move forward, and that's another critical kind of timeline.
When does the clock start ticking for the PEC? Is it when they first meet or when you first form them?
Yeah, when notification goes out.
Right, and then they have the 30 days, and then you
Yep.
can change that if they're working on something and they want to stay.
That's exactly right. If both
So that
sides
brings
say,
us
look,
in-
let's extend it, we're making some progress, you can.
So that brings us into like probably January, and then if they decide, you know what, we can't figure something out, then it goes through that other process, which
Yep.
will delay it. And then,
That's accurate. And you still need a 90-day timeframe if it was going to be the
Yeah, so you
GIC,
gotta
you
back
trigger
out
that,
some
60
April,
days. And those are
March.
minimums. I mean, you want it to be as smooth. You want people getting their cards, you want them to know what their benefits are, you want them to understand that. If there are benefits changes, sometimes people want to get things done sooner or later. So time is really not is important, and it's something that sooner is certainly better than later.
Council Sosnowski.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. President. Just briefly, Your Honor, if we were not to vote on this tomorrow, but to do it 2 weeks later, like the first meeting that we have in November, would that be a problem?
Yes, it will, because you're really backing up the whole thing. I don't think you meet until almost the middle of November, then we run into the Thanksgiving Day holiday. We're probably not really getting together till December. To be honest with you, I'm not sure why you'd wait anyways. I don't know what the additional time really garners.
Well, there's a lot of details here, Your Honor, that I'd like to look at online to see what, the co-pays are on their average plan and things like
Well,
that.
again, the GIC plan doesn't come into effect unless there's a minimum 5% savings and threshold. Whatever those co-pays are, we have to design a plan that closely mimics that under the current statute. So,
I just want to, honestly speaking, I like what I'm looking at. I think I'm going to be voting for this on a positive situation, but I just wanted to do some more research on the details first. And I don't know that I can do that by tomorrow night.
well, time really does have an impact. That's the, I guess that's the part of it. We're doing our best to try and rein in costs. This is our $11 million item for us. It takes a lot of effort and putting this information together.
It's
And,
huge, and like I say, I believe I support this thing. I just like to make sure that I do, and that's all. Thank you.
You all set? Council McCarthy and Council Pelletier? Unless,
Thank you, Mr. President. Through you to the mayor. What's that? The whole process that we're gonna go through, and if this is adopted, is this gonna, obviously, I understand we can do this because all the collective bargaining units are currently out of contract. Is this something that is gonna be, next year at this time, we're gonna look at a way to save money, and we're gonna put this back in front of them every year, or is it gonna be every 2 years? Or is it only when their contracts come up?
Well, once you adopt the law, it's good, it's good going forward, so that it would change the process if we were to make changes. The idea is not to have to make changes every single year and go back and look at where we can, how we skin this cat differently. The idea is to try and do it once. If the GIC is the benchmark, I don't know that they make vast changes from year to year. So that would be, our approach would be to obviously mimic that.
Okay. In the part that's highlighted or underlined was with regard to the adjustment in the percentage of pay, that's still negotiable.
That's correct.
That's still in part
That's
of
right.
negotiations.
That's right.
That's it for me.
You all set? Council
No,
Pelletier?
no, I have a question.
Thank you, Mr. President. My colleague across the aisle, Mike Cisnowski, we adopted 2 resolutions way back. So that means we were in favor of back then. No, we didn't have all the details, but we had it that way, okay? For the record, I spoke with a retired school department employee, retiree, and a retired early firefighter because of medical problems. And they both told me their insurance has been going up over the past 5 years on their pay. And I'm hoping that this will relieve some of that pressure. If you're out on disability, there's not much money in there. You said that we currently have 2 options, an HMO and PPO, right? That's all we offer. But the GIC can offer a dozen?
They have a myriad of plans,
Okay.
so.
Well, I'm thinking it might only, and the GIC has more options, so that's probably more savings in the long run, or?
Well, it depends on what
Just
folks pick. I
speculation.
mean, the benchmark they said is the most subscribed plans that they have, that's the benchmark they choose for us. But everyone's situation is differently. If you're a young teacher, you may want a plan that has a high copay because you're not, or a young employee, I guess I should say, without a family, you may want a different plan than you would if you're a family that, requires a lot of services. So it just gives you that flexibility to make that determination.
I also know a couple of state employees who have no problem with their insurance.
Yeah, the GIC has generally got high marks from the folks that I know who are on it in terms of choice and value. And one thing to point out, so you mentioned retirees, there is a disparity between retirees right now that they really don't have a say in some of the health insurance changes. The statute allows a 65-35 split for retirees, so we're not at that level, but you could go to that level. And oftentimes, we've had to look at savings on our achieving savings through our retirees because we haven't been able to get savings with our own collective bargaining units. This would level that playing field. I think the second part.
1 second.
Would you just clarify?
1 second.
Yep.
Hold on, for the record.
Thank you.
Yep.
Okay, you may continue.
I asked the mayor to clarify what you just said in regards to the unions and the retiree.
Right. So there can be a disparity between retirees and active employees' health insurance, because under the law right now, retirees, their split is 65-35. That's the level you can go to. But for us, our existing employees are 75-25. So they are impacted differently than existing employees. This acceptance of this law would help level that playing field. I think a second factor to consider is a number of our retirees go to the GIC already. When teachers retire from the city of Salem, under the state teachers retirement plan, they go into the GIC. So we don't have retired teachers that are included within our plans. They already go to the GIC. So any teacher who's on our health insurance, paying $75.25 for their HMO, the day they retire, they go into the state GIC and pay $85.15. That's an arrangement that the city has had, and many communities do, for retired teachers to go into that plan. So a number of folks who have worked here are on the GIC when they retire. Just to share that thought with you.
Go ahead. Continue.
On the benefits of the new law, the last bullet point, savings to be shared with enrollees who are most affected by the change, including retirees, lower-income enrollees, and those with high out-of-pocket expense costs. What is the percentage of the workforce, 1,500 or so employees that fall into this category?
I don't know. I haven't really done the analysis to say who are the folks who might be high users. And there's all kind of HIPAA laws to, that prevent you from really understanding who is accessing the system. But obviously, we'd want to put protections in place, and there are ways to do that, for sure, that, you know, that could provide a benefit for those folks. I should also point out, we have had some changes in health insurance laws over the last several years. Each time we've done that, we have shared with our employees. We've given back in wages, higher increases, or we've promoted health insurance changes as a way to save savings, to share the savings, incentivizing people to take lower dollar plans by providing upfront dollar value. So sharing the savings is not something that has been posed a problem in the past. It's just getting to a point where we can end this process and do so and consistently in time for a budget. I mean, $366,000 left on the table this year alone.
Okay, so, the city gonna end up with more bargaining power to Blue Cross or Tufts, whoever the carrier's gonna be?
I think everyone's sharpening their pencils
what
because
about
the
sharing?
GIC's become the benchmark
What
now.
about going with other cities and towns, joining other cities and towns, more buying power?
Yeah, so we, in essence, already do that. We're part of MIA, which is a 126 community
Oh, okay.
collaborative
All
of
right.
health insurance and risk
Okay.
partners. So we do work to purchase our insurance together.
I just want, one more question on that same page. Contributions are still subject to collective bargaining. So that's the 75-25.
That's correct.
So this really isn't taking away collective bargaining, only the bullet points of what the plans are, how to get the plans down to a cost savings for the city. But in your negotiations with the different unions, it'll still be subject to whether they pay 75-25 or 80-20, whatever comes out of those negotiations with raises.
right.
Is that correct?
That's correct.
We're not going down the slippery cheese slope like Wisconsin and the cornfields of Iowa right now, right?
I don't believe so at all. In fact, I think I characterize this as setting a benchmark. Everyone should have insurance that's at least equal to the GIC, and this enables us to get there. And that helps
I agree.
us.
And, you know, our retirees are paying a little more than the people that are working, and I find that disturbing. Thank you, Mr. President.
Welcome, Councilor Fury.
Yes, please. Healthcare is a national crisis, and we all know that. The word crisis in Chinese means danger. Danger of not doing nothing. It also means an opportunity to do something. Tonight, tomorrow, if not now, when do we do something? If not this healthcare reform, what healthcare reform? I have had the privilege and pleasure of 28 consecutive years serving in public office. I've served under four mayors, Salvo, Harrington, Yusevich, and now Mayor Driscoll. 90% of their budget is benefits and people. So where do we cut? I've served on numerous committees, negotiations, now 28 years. It's very difficult. Councilor Ronan has a motion before us that he wants to act on before this fiscal year ends, to draw a line in the sand for this city council, to set a limit, to tell the mayor that we're gonna only have this amount in the budget, and have the mayor go ahead and cut. Now, I've served on these four mayors. They've cut to the budget. Every time the budget comes to us, it's cut to the minimum. And we come here, and I've served on administration and finance, and numerous members of the city council have, as chair people and members. Where do we cut back? Bullets? Toilet paper? Material things? We don't. This is an area, healthcare, we have to come back to reality, and the reality check. And healthcare is breaking the cities and towns nationwide. I think we have to come to a consensus. The crisis, the danger, if we don't do nothing. And keep on negotiating with 6 unions saying yes, 2 unions saying no. Lawyers, negotiations. The lawyers win. This is not a way for healthcare or our cities to run. And we're in a crisis situation now for cities and towns. I think we should give this an opportunity. The opportunity is now, not sometime place down in the future. If we continue to work as we are now, whether it's Councilor Ronan's measures or what Councilor Driscoll has done, she has not had a good year physically in her 5 years, 6 years as mayor, sincerely. I got the 4-year mayor on the ballot thinking that a 4-year mayor could fly, whoever that mayor was. Mayor Yusevich had 4-year term, and now she's in a second term. Every mayor, Mayor Yusevich and Mayor Driscoll has been in the financial crisis. Here we have an opportunity, and I think we need that opportunity to grow and to learn. And all of the unions have to come to consensus. It's not like tomorrow this is going to be done, as the mayor said. I think sincerely, we all have to take a reality check financially. I don't want to cut teachers and firemen and policemen, and that's what's going to come to be if we don't come to a reality on the situation. We have to bite the bullet in some way, and this is the way to do it in healthcare. It's killing us all across the nation. Barack Obama's getting Obamacare and everything, in New Hampshire primary, Nevada, everywhere we go. Sincerely, when does it come to a reality check? And I think we have to come to a reality check, this city, to go ahead and look at this. And we have, it's not going to be done overnight. We're going to sit down with the unions, we're going to sit down with the different people, ask involvement, ask empowerment and engagement. That's what this administration has stood for, all the way along the line. So I'd be in favor of voting for this tomorrow night.
Thank you. Councilor O'Keefe?
Through you, Councilor Lovell,
Councilor Lovell.
I yield to Councilor Lovell.
Councilor
Thank
Lovell.
you. No, I'm just looking up under, since we're having a discussion about GIC, which is, part of this discussion, I just was looking up the healthcare plans on the state website. So what are active to current to state employees are active state employees: Fallon Community Health, Harvard Pilgrim Health, Health New England, Neighborhood Health Plan, Tufts Health Plan Navigator, Tufts Health Plan Spirit, Unicare Indemnity State Plan. There's 3 of those, and actually, then there's mental health benefits and prescription drug benefits. So, Mayor, you mentioned that I'm under the GIC plan. My husband's a state retiree, and we, under the retiree, we are under the Unicare State Indemnity Plan. And actually, it's a plan that we had before he took retirement from the state. We didn't change over because it was a good plan. It's a $750 deductible. Now, it's a family plan, so that's 3 $250 deductibles. So we have to, as a family, we have to hit that $750 mark before we have coverage, which in a family, we hit that every year easily. Primary care is 100% covered. Actually, that is not included in the deductible. The primary.
So
primary
wellness
care.
visits, primary care visits.
Exactly, they're
Are
not
just
covered
your
in the
standard copay. You don't have to get to
That's right,
$750.
and the copays are $15, $30, or $35, depending on where your physician, what part of the plan that he buys into. Specialists are $20, $30, and $40. This chiropractic care is paid at 80%. Everything else, the MRIs, there's a copay of $100. The emergency room, copay of $100, unless you're admitted, and then that's waived. That's been around forever. That's nothing new. Eye exams are covered at 100%. Speech therapy is 100%. Physical and occupational therapy 100%. Inpatient care is 100%. This is a good plan. Mental health. Our prescription drugs, $4 copay, $3 copay. Rarely is it over 20, ever. Now, we're not a family that's on a lot of medications, but people may need antibiotics or things like that, but very low, I mean, to me, because I've been on the GIC for 20 years now, it's a good plan. Now, if you can make a better plan without having to go to the GIC, that's even better for our city employees.
The best of both worlds, or the best of both options.
There are so many options in the GIC plan, and this is the option that we have, and it's a good plan. I mean, we're very happy with it. For a lot of years. So
the GIC touts the fact that they have, I think, 4 nationally recognized plans for providing, some of the best health care in the nation. And obviously, we want to explore all the options and find a way to offer and maintain good quality insurance for our employees and retirees, but also be efficient and keep the taxpayers in mind as we're doing it.
Thank you.
Councilor O'Keefe?
Mr. President, like Councilor Lovely, I've been a member of the state GIC for about 30 years. But my question, Mayor, for the city solicitor, I've been religiously told starting with City Solicitor John Keenan, that I could not vote on any matter that had a particular impact on my sons, plural. I have recused myself from every meeting dealing with reimbursement to them individually. I've voted fire trucks and station improvement. Now, all of a sudden tonight, I'm told that I don't have to recuse myself because they need my vote. Now, can the city solicitor explain? Am I reading this right? All of it, you're reading, I'm one of the 6, correct? That the first paragraph of this letter says that 6
That was 9.
members of the council. Well, I'm just reading what this says. 6 members of the city council, and I'm one of the 6. How am I all of a sudden now religiously not impacted, and now I can? How do you explain that to me?
Well, because this is the only body that can enact this legislation. And because of that, and because so many of you are conflicted out, the law provides for that with the rule of necessity. That's why each one of you who are conflicted out made that disclosure. And there's an opinion from the State Ethics Commission that explains that I can share with you. But because there are certain times, and it's very rare, and this is one of those rare times, where you have to invoke this rule of necessity or you could not get something done. There's no other board that can stand in your shoes. And the statute requires that you do this, and this is the only way. So this is a mechanism that the law allows you to make that exception, so that you can.
Well, now, a question then. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. The 10th word says board. It doesn't say city council.
It's any legislative body.
Does the statute say city council or board?
It's legislative body. You are covered, I assure you.
So what is that?
Actually, I will email you tomorrow. The State Ethics Commission opined on this. There's a letter they've sent out that covers this very law. Because every city in town that's looking at this has the same problem. So there's an Ethics Commission that spells it all out in more detail than I have just done. But you can be assured that it's necessary in this case.
Oh, could I dovetail
Thank you.
on that?
I just want to say, one second. So like in the past situations where we voted on the fire department appropriation, if we're all fortunate enough to have a relative on the fire department,
Or police
to
department.
say it was the same situation where there was 8 of us that had relatives in the fire department, we would have to invoke that rule because we wouldn't be able to vote.
You've done it once before on the health insurance years ago when we changed the contribution rate, if you remember.
Oh,
Councilor Sargent.
That's your official interpretation then?
Absolutely. And the State Ethics Commissions as well.
through you, Mr. President.
Councilor Sargent.
Why wouldn't we be able to do that anytime, any meeting? As long as we read that, we'd be able to vote.
Yeah, there are rules.
They don't need us, when they don't need our vote, we have to obey
You
the law.
have to not be able to make a quorum.
Right.
Right, that's the
Right, and
fact,
that's
deciding factor here is the quorum. So there are often times when there are conflicts, budgets, when we do various budgets, some of you have to not be in the room while we vote on that, but we always are able to maintain a quorum. We couldn't maintain a quorum because of the number of folks who are impacted by this.
Right, now, just to be the devil's advocate, imagine if we were all voting on a large raise tonight, how that would look, where we just evoked to be able to break the rules to do that.
Good
I mean,
question.
I'm sure that would be well received.
Well, if there were conflicts amongst at least 6 of you that had, I guess, relatives that were in line to receive raises,
Yeah,
that would
that's
be
what
the
I'm
only
saying.
way you could do it.
But what if we vote on our own raises? We do vote on our own.
It's true.
Directly.
When did we get a
That's
raise?
another story.
I must have missed it. Memo. Mr.
Are you all
President?
set, Councilor?
Yes, yes, sir, thank you.
Councilor
Thank you,
Sargent, you
Mayor.
all right? You all set?
Ms. Venati.
Give me a minute, I gotta rethink.
All right, come back to you later. Anybody else? I just want to say, on my, I've gone through, I don't work, I'm not in a union, but I'm a licensed health insurance. I do insurance. And a couple of years ago, our company switched us over from like the regular plan that everyone knows to this deductible plan, and we have Tufts. And the first year was like $500 deductible, and then last year, the current year, was like, a family plan's like $2,000 with a $1,000 minimum. And no one liked it. I mean, we got used to it. They gave us a card because we had to set aside money, like a cafeteria plan. The one thing that was good is if you didn't go to the doctor a lot and stuff, you save money because right away our premiums that we took out of our paycheck dropped. But the balance is if you're sick or if you have prescriptions or you're on medication, there's a lot of things you have to take into consideration So like, I think the big issue here is with the unions being able, like, they negotiate all this stuff all these years, and now they do get to negotiate, but it's really, there's an end to it where you can say, no, this is what we're doing, we don't.
If we meet
Yeah,
a
I mean,
threshold, right, if we
yeah.
meet that threshold,
So,
correct.
I mean, I'm just batting around in my head the time frame because when you said something about setting the budget, when's the date that you need to get numbers to set the budget? Like
I mean,
in
the sooner
February?
the better, right, yeah, exactly. We begin that process right after the first of the year. So the sooner we have numbers, the better. And it's entailed, the complexities that go into analyzing, you know, how co-pays are impacted, what the GIC benchmark is. It's going to take us a while to do that. I hope we have it by the end of November, but it takes some time. We want to sit down and get input from the unions. This is not an automatic into the GIC. We want to understand what their concerns are. I think we have a good idea what a lot of those are, but that takes time, meeting with these groups, both individually and together. And just to give you, I mean, some of you are on the insurance, but some of you aren't. So to give you an idea of what we have for insurance now, Councilor Lovely ran down one of the GIC plans. Right now for the city under our HMO, preventative co-pays, 0. Plan deductibles, 0. Primary care co-pays, when you go to your primary care physician, $10 to $20 depending upon what your physician's tier is. Specialist co-pays are $25. ER co-pays are $50. That was one of the ones we were hoping to change to $100 as part of our May discussion. Inpatient hospital co-pays, if you're admitted to the hospital, are $200 to $400, depending upon what hospital. That is fully reimbursed by the city under their current plan, so that while you pay it, you get reimbursed for it. Outpatient surgical copay, $100, fully reimbursed by the city at this present time. MRI, CT, PET scans, 0 copay. That was one of the ones we hoped to change to $75. That would have contributed to that $388,000 in savings. Prescriptions, 10, 20, or 40, again, depending upon the max. If you do the mail order, another thing we've really tried to push is for people who have regular prescriptions, do the mail order plans. It's 20, 40, or 90, but you get a 90-day supply as opposed to a 30-day supply for those same numbers. You know, our health insurance rates for a single family are $581 a month. For a family plan, it's $1,572 a month. The city pays 75% of that cost, so the employees pick up 25% of that cost. We have good plans. We will have good plans when we are through this process, but it will be more efficient. It will enable us to put in place a system that offers nationally recognized quality plans, our own or through the GIC, at a benchmark that's affordable to the community and to taxpayers. And probably, frankly, our plans that are closer in line to what most taxpayers have, hopefully. And we are hoping that you will act on this tomorrow. Time is not our ally. If we want savings, I've heard everyone talk about the need for us to try and spend less and save more and keep Salem affordable and keep taxes affordable. This is a key way to do it. And having adopted resolutions twice, one this past spring and one the year before, asking our legislative delegation, our own state representative and our own state senator to support legislation that would give us greater flexibility. Salem City Council strongly supports the proposed legislation that would give cities and towns the authority to manage soaring health care costs by either joining the State Group Insurance Commission or providing communities with the flexibility to institute their own health insurance plans that provide equivalent savings. May 12th, 2011, the majority of the people in this room signed on to this. We've got to get this done. So I hope you will act tomorrow, and certainly we'll be able to answer questions up until then. But it's something we need, and it's something that I think will ultimately be in the best interest of our employees. I like our employees. I know folks are here. We work together. We'll be able to work together on this and put in place something that works for everyone.
Councilor Pelletier?
I just want to dovetail on what Councilor Sargent brought up about his company. I know it's a private company, and not knowing all the co-pays or we know that going forward. I've been in the Human Resources office, no matter if you're going in for surgery. So going forward, all these plans that you will propose to the unions, that'll be all laid out for them. They'll know exactly what they can pick and choose.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
All right. Anyone else? I want to get some of the people here if they want to speak, so we've been here for a while.
Okay, yeah, sure.
Trish. Start over this.
Public hearing? It's
What?
public hearing, right?
It's a committee. We can ask anyone to speak. We'll start on this side. So,
No, we only suspension of the rules.
Lieutenant Walker.
Good evening, Council. My name is Jim Walker from the Salem Police Department, Superior Officers Union. I'd like to thank you for going into committee last week as we requested, and A lot of you have stolen my thunder tonight on the different questions that you've posed and the information being put out. If you remember last week, one of the things I said was you'd be remiss in your duties to the taxpayers if you didn't adopt this in some way, shape, or form. And what I asked was for some time. And the handouts that we got from the city tonight, in conjunction with some stuff that was emailed to me yesterday afternoon, is very complicated, as many of you have said. What I'm standing here before you requesting is that you give us some time. We've played ball twice on insurance changes in the last couple of years. As I said last week, that wasn't an easy fix. I had people coming up to me screaming at me. They lost their primary cares. Their co-pays on meds went up. It was a bad hit for several people in my union. Not everyone. Some of us with healthier families didn't have a big impact, maybe even saved a few bucks. But there's a lot of anxiety out there with change with health care. A lot, especially when you're going for 3 in 5 years. What I'm asking for is some time so I can distribute these handouts, so I can let my people go into the GIC website, as Councilor Lovely did tonight, and look at some of the plans so that I can use the information I got from the City Hall yesterday afternoon and let my people learn about it, talk about it, see that it might not be the big beast that's coming down the road, as we're all envisioning and as was so eloquently put by so many of you. I have a problem with a few things that were said tonight. Learning by doing. Healthcare, as one of you mentioned, is a very serious issue. And we're going down every time we do this. And learning by doing, I don't think, is the thing we should jump into and make mistakes and, oh, well, we learned by that. I can't put up with that as a union president anymore. I can't have people calling me at home saying that their primary care isn't the same one anymore. They won't take it. Their meds have tripled. And as one of you said, Councilor Pelletier, you know, we're at 75-25 now. Who's to say, well, without a contract, the next one isn't 70-30? There are so many fears involved in this change. I'm not asking you for not to do it. Give the other patrol unions, the fire teachers, give us some time to go to our people and say, look, here's some information, look it up online, take your time, we got a little bit of time here, see what the different plans are. Learning by doing is not the way to do this. And as far as the hurry that we're in for you to do this tomorrow, the city can start evaluating plans right now. I don't see what the precursor is to them making a few calls, looking up some plans, and figuring some numbers. I don't see the problem with that. I would tell you that we all read the papers, not that everything in the paper is true, but we all read the papers, and today there was an editorial. Beverly went into this and saved a lot of money. Peabody's not going into this right now. They're going to wait till their new mayor gets elected. If I'm not mistaken, that's the way I read it. So they're going to wait until January, and then probably bring it to their council. They're using some time. I'm not going to sit here and chastise the GIC. I have heard people say it's not a bad plan. You can get a good one in there. I am saying it's less than what we have now. It's a very complicated topic with a ton of anxiety, and all I'm asking is to give us some time to go to our unions. The first I heard about this was a certified letter I got last Thursday. The meeting, Wednesday or Thursday. The meeting was Tuesday, and I got my information on it yesterday afternoon, and I didn't even have time to look at it because I worked today, got home tonight, and started perusing it as I was on my way here. Then I come and I see this, which is also very complicated to read through. Give us some time to bring it to our people, to lessen the anxiety, to educate them a little bit, and then start the clock. Because once the clock starts, it's going to be over before you know it. We even have to get people committed. As the mayor said, there's people in this insurance commission that have gone to a few meetings that they've had over the last year. I don't even have a commitment from someone right now for sure that I have a rep for this. And you may have overheard when I spoke the last time, we have a lot of issues going on right now in my union. Different arbitration issues, we're not with a contract, another insurance issue. I can't come to all these meetings and do all this stuff myself, so I need to get help. I need to get someone on board. And I'm sure some of the other unions are in the same boat. So that's my plea to you. I'm not asking you not to do it. I'm asking you to give us some time so we can educate our people and lessen the anxiety. That being said, I'm not an expert on this. I just got more of an education than I've ever had with going through this, but if any has questions, I'd be happy to try and answer them.
I just want to ask through the mayor, because he brought up a good point. Can you start doing this process, the evaluation, without having us vote on this?
Yeah, we can do some of the analysis, but frankly, we analyze things all the time without an end to this. We just went through a process, spent a lot of time in May talking with unions about how we can tweak plans to save $388,000 and got nothing for it. So we need this process to start. It starts with you. The first step is getting this adoption going forward. Will we start looking at some of the plans and starting to analyze? The A&F is telling us what the most popular plans are. We're trying to gather information. But it starts here with you folks adopting this. And I mean, the law was adopted in July. We're all getting our information since then, compiling it together. And we're in a position, I think, to advance this. And you know, obviously, I've already said we'd really like to move it forward.
But if you could do that evaluation and stuff like that, and we could still vote.
No, so to be clear, the analysis is part of it. This is a long process. We're asking to get this done now so that you guys don't meet again until the middle of November. Then Thanksgiving kicks in. Then we have one meeting in December, then a December holiday. We're all here, we voted on adoptions. I don't know that there's going to be something that's going to happen between now and November that's going to change the way we look at this. We need to do analysis regardless if you adopt it or not. It allows us to move forward with Maya. They're taking the communities that have adopted it much more seriously and doing their analysis. There's 126 communities. It's hard to get our insurance companies to really focus in and give us all this information if you haven't adopted it yet. And there are a number of communities that have, and it's an information gathering stage. And yeah, we need action. Could we do some of it? Yeah, it doesn't get done as quickly without legislation already being passed, accepted by your city.
Can I interject something
Yes.
there? If this is approved tomorrow, and the only word to describe this to the people that work in the city is anxiety, without educating them on how this would work, the anxiety will be biblical. And you can rest assured on that. And morale will be even lower, and opinions and attitudes will be even worse, because they won't know the totality of what this is. They'll read that you gave them the permission to do it, and it's going to be worst case scenario. Let us have some time. That's all I'm going to say. I don't have anything else. Just give us some time to talk to them, get them off the cliff, and educate them a little bit. Thank you.
Okay. Welcome. Anyone else on this side?
Joyce Harrington, sorry about my voice. Joyce Harrington, Salem Teachers Union. Actually, I have a little disagreement. Actually, we've had 4 changes since I came on board as president in January of 2006. We've had a change in employer-employee share of the cost. We've had a change of plans when they moved everybody from Tufts into the Blue Cross Blue Shield through Maya. And this last plan was I want to call it a GIC clone for the sake of anything because it's tiered, and that was all new. And I do have to agree with my brother over here that anxiety is an issue and it is a problem. But we have worked through it, through collective bargaining, we've worked through it, and have made the changes. And every time a change has come through, it's been said this will be savings to the city. So we've moved it forward, we've put it out to the members, and we've made the changes in efforts to continually to save the city money. But apparently, our efforts have not been sufficient, apparently. That's the message I'm getting, that's the message my members are getting, that the efforts they have made have been for naught, because they keep being told they need to do more, they need to do more, they need to do more. And it's worked through collective bargaining. And so the one big plus I see for this is that the retirees will get a voice. That is an important piece of this. But I do have to agree with the anxiety portion, and it is a very complicated piece. You know, we've tried to work, we were supposed to be having quarterly meetings to work on plan design over the past year. There were a couple of meetings, but in May, the plan design was sort of given, and we had to bring it back to our members. So I do agree, maybe there needs to be some more time as well. Thank you.
Thank you.
T.C. Riley Goggin, 9 Wisteria Street. We've talked about plan design modification and the GIC, but the GIC has not adequately been explained to many of the people that do not deal with it all the time. Is it a group of insurance companies that underwrite, or are they brokers for insurance? And how big is it, and how many communities does it really impact? Does it, if enough communities join the GIC, would it become a large monopoly? And would it then blend into almost like a socialized medicine? I don't have the answers to this, maybe you people do. But the other thing, when something gets so big, they then control the cost. There was a time that Blue Cross Blue Shield was very affordable. Right now, I hear the city of Beverly, where I have my insurance, they probably will go to GIC according to the article in the paper. I don't know how that's going to affect me. Maybe the answers you give me tonight will help me and some of the other people in the communities. Thank you.
Thank you, TC. Anybody else on this side? Over here.
Dickie Thomas from the fire department. I just want to reiterate what Jimmy said with the time. I know other cities like Lowell, I believe they might have even actually just implemented a 90-day kind of waiting period in order for everyone to grasp what is being done here. It just seems to me that there's a lot to try and figure out within the next 24 hours. I would appreciate it if you could give us, even if you set a time date tomorrow, 30 days, 60 days, something almost definitive that we could work with. It will give us a chance to actually sit down, talk to our members, get together with other union heads, and maybe come up with a plan on how to do this ourselves without actually going into the GIC or another avenue to go to. So that's.
Okay.
All right. Thank you.
Brendan Walls, 5 West Terrace, member of the Salem School Committee. I'm here both as a retiree and as a school committee member. And I certainly understand what Lieutenant Walker was talking about. Change is a difficult thing. And the seeming loss of control, perhaps. But time is of the necessity here. It's a very important thing. So I want to just discuss what I've experienced. And I listened to Council Lovely, and I agree with you entirely. I happen to have the GIC. And to me, it's a superb plan. I have no complaints with it whatsoever. If the worst you can do is the GIC, you're light years ahead of yourself. So I would encourage you on that alone. My concern is, and I can't speak for police and firemen, and I'm talking about the individuals, not the unions, as to how they would supplement if it indeed did cost them more. I know teachers are a different situation. They may not have the opportunities to supplement their income as well. But despite that, what I'm concerned about as a school committee member is that we're reaching the point where in order to cover health care costs, we're going to have to lay off people. It's that simple. Thank you.
Anybody else over the side? Okay. Any other comments from the city council?
Well, if I could please, I fully agree with the anxiety part. I mean, that's what happens at contract time every 3 years where I work. There's been changes every time a contract came up, and there's a lot of anxiety, and the insurers change and the plans change, and it's just a lot to take in. And you know, I just can't see getting this tonight. I know time's of the essence, but I just can't see us getting a document like this and really be able to do this within 24 hours. Everything mentioned here tonight has been said to take time. accept our vote. We're being asked to take this vote tonight and another vote tomorrow in a 24-hour period. Nothing else in all of this is gonna happen in 24 hours. Everything else is supposed to take time, except the time for our vote and the time to give the people affected to really understand this. I don't understand this yet. And the people being affected by this don't have the amount of time to go to meetings that we do and the resources that we do. They certainly don't all have a copy of this yet. So, when I can remember, time was of the essence when we had to sell Satella Lane to balance the budget. And due to a lot of unforeseen circumstances, it's 3 years later, and we still never got the money, and that sale fell through. And somehow we got by. And I think we can get by as a city, giving these people the time to look this over and at least relieving that anxiety. Thank you.
Council Sosnowski.
Yeah, thank you. I'm in favor of this, I believe, but going back to what the past things that we voted on in the past, we voted on upping the co-pays, because we were told that if we do that, the premium cost will go down. So yeah, of course, I mean, anything we can do to save the city money, we should be really giving a lot of serious consideration to. So the co-pays went up, but all of a sudden, so didn't my premium. Right, now maybe it went up less than it would have if we didn't have the savings, but that's probably what happened over the years. All right, and so I don't fault that rationale, and I still support that. I think this is a good plan, and I truly think that when push comes to shove, it's going to get my positive vote on this thing. But I would really like to see this not voted on until the 17th. That's 20 days, actually a little bit more than 20, 21, 22 days, not 60 or 30, 60, 90 days. But on the 17th at the latest, I would like to vote on this, but not tomorrow night. There's too many things that I'd like to get some answers to, so should somebody ask me a question, I can answer it better. I'm sure the people are going to be, every time I walk down the street, people say, hey, what's this, what's that? I don't have an answer for some of these things. I mean, everything that was explained here this evening, it was a very good presentation, and I don't have any questions as far as what's been presented here. But I do want to look up at that site. I want to see some of the options. I want to see where it goes. And look, we all need to save money, all right? And we can't be just saying it in mere words. We have to be actually doing it. And this is a way to save the money. I mean, we can save 366 this year, is it? I think it is.
Too late, Councilor, this year to save that money. We didn't adopt those changes. We couldn't get 2 unions to agree.
Okay, so it's too late.
We're trying to avoid that, obviously, in the future.
So we have an option, though, to save 600 or more, possibly, coming up. I think we have that option. We should really look at it. So, I mean, I'm gonna come the 17th, I'm gonna vote for this, but I'd like to wait till the 17th.
Thank you, Councilor. Councilor Pinto.
Thank you, Mr. President. I am I'm in full support of giving the mayor the authority to do this. We did sign 2 resolutions. I think as a public official, you have to give the mayor the flexibility to do health reform. And this is something we've been waiting for. And this is a tough one, because I see the anxiety with individuals involved. I don't live it, but I see it. And I know our next meeting is until the 17th. I don't know about setting that in stone. I would recommend that maybe we have a special meeting before that and try to find a happy medium instead of waiting till the 17th. I would just throw that out there. We could have a special meeting and vote this through. And I think it is going to get, I can only speak for myself, I do think it's going to get a full vote of the council as far as giving the mayor the flexibility. It's tough, especially when you talk about, I listened to the plans, and unfortunately, I had to go on the city insurance because I lost my job, but I think when you talk about healthcare, you talk about different people, and not so much different plans, but different people have different needs for health. What the GIC may be good for Councilor Sosnowski, it may not be good for me because of our situation, our health situations, as far as that goes. But if we can find a happy medium, maybe not go as late as the 17th, give the mayor more time the other way. We have a special meeting and we hash it out. I would like to read, like you, I would like to read some of this stuff that I got in front of me tonight. I'd like to talk to a few people just so that, even though I've made my decision to give the mayor the flexibility, I'd feel a little more like I did my due diligence as far as seeing what was being offered. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you. Council Pelletier and Council Lovely.
First, I want to applaud the union reps here tonight. Spoke very well. And I forgot her name there from the school teachers union. She spoke very well and eloquently. They took back, they made concessions. But two unions did not make concessions, so thereby, ergo, we didn't save $338,000, okay? So that's where all this problem starts right now, okay? $368,000. I'm certainly in favor of giving, you know, the unions a little time to digest this. But here's what I see as a problem. We don't want to go into next year, because this body makeup may change in 2 weeks from now. We don't know. We all considered this with the 2 resolutions we sent to State House. We're all in agreement back then. If it doesn't pass this year, then what do? The mayor's got to take it, and next year's health budget is certainly going to skyrocket. No doubt about it, okay? Because it does every year. Listen to T.C. Riley Goggin over there. I know that for a fact. Back in the early 80s, my daughter was terminally ill. And back then, you couldn't change your insurance company, take a pre-existing illness to another insurance company. So I had to carry that plan by myself. 3 different jobs. Kept going up, started around $400 or $500 a quarter. By the time I got done, I was paying nearly $4,000 a quarter. 9 years later. And Blue Cross tried to shut me off because she supposedly was over the $1 million limit, but thank God I'm a paper rat and I kept all the paperwork, went to the insurance commissioner, ranted like hell and got my way. But this, the insurance companies, you know, it's never gonna go down. I think the group plan, I agree, give them some time to go on the website and look, but we gotta do it this year. I'm in favor of calling for another meeting too. Council Lovely.
You all set?
Yep.
Council Lovely and Council Sargent.
So what I'm hearing tonight, so actually, Mr. President, you asked this earlier, what's the time frame of how this is going to all unfold? And from what the mayor was saying, you know, to take the month of November to kind of analyze the plans, take the month of December where the PEC would kick in, that's that 30-day. And I think the anxiety is around that 30-day time frame and when that kicks in. And we hear from the unions that they'd like a little more time to go back to their membership to explain the changes, the potential changes that might be coming. Mayor, is it possible that if we adopt this plan tomorrow night, that you would make a commitment that the PEC, that time frame doesn't start until after the holidays, till January 1st? Because if you think about it, if we're going through the month of December, between Thanksgiving and Christmas, people have worked hard all year long, and all they want to do is enjoy their families. And then to have to go through this process for the month of December, I think it's just, that creates a lot of anxiety. So could you make a commitment that that PEC process doesn't start until just after the holidays to allow these people to enjoy families? I don't know how much you get done between the month of December anyway, in that if that 30-day clock is ticking.
Yeah, I mean, I think, I hate having hard, fast dates. We wouldn't start until January, but I think obviously we want to work with the unions. There's a whole informal process, that IAC, we're all getting caught up in 30 days, and this cannot be a surprise to anybody. Municipal health insurance legislation has been the #1 issue for cities and towns for the last 3 years. This body adopted 2 resolutions in support of it. I've certainly been a proponent and very active and vocal about my support for legislation like this. So, and we've talked to our unions about this issue for the last 3 years. I think every year we have sat down and had numerous dialogue about health insurance. So the fact that we're talking about reform and going to the GIC, we had members of just about every union up at the State House, you know, lobbying against the bill. So this is not all of a sudden this just happened. The law got adopted July. So we certainly want to go forward in a way that's productive. This is not, I don't think it's necessary that it's an acrimonious or hostile discussion. I hope that we go into a PIC setting with thorough understanding of, here are a couple of the proposals, here are some of the options, let's try and hash it out. And that becomes just the formal process that emanated from a very informal dialogue that we've had all along through the IAC. So, I mean, I don't know if we're going to start that after January 1 or before it, but we certainly want to give people time. I don't want anyone to have the impression, I know it's anxious, I know there is what's going to happen is an issue that not only Jimmy's asked about, that we're asked about. This is the same insurance that I have, that many of you have, that all of us have. So it's not meant to be anxious, but it also just can't be dilatory. I don't know what changes miraculously in 2
1 second.
weeks. The circumstances don't change.
No,
We have plenty of time to give people information, so
Whoa, 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 whoa.
Second tape.
So,
I'm suggesting that we
I think
adopt
that,
it
yeah,
tomorrow night.
I hope that the council
That we
does.
should
With all due
adopt it and
respect to
then-
the folks who are here from the labor side, I think we certainly can commit that this is not on a fast-track PEC designed to give us some sort of an upper hand. That doesn't serve anybody. I still have to negotiate contracts. So we're more than willing to work on a timeline that makes sense. But waiting until November, that doesn't make sense. That puts us way behind the 8 ball trying to get information, trying to know where we're going, and get a budget going forward. So I guess the answer to your question is yes, we'll work. I don't know what the exact date is. I don't want to mess up anybody's holiday, myself included. And I think that we can put together a solid plan that gives people the time and information to ramp up, but also allows us to know where we're heading. And, you know, I would hope that the
That's what I
council would be
mean.
willing
I
to do
don't-
that.
And I don't mean, I'm not, focusing this around the holidays. I'm just saying, the holidays happen to be in the middle of what's happening, but it, in deference to the unions, to be able to say, you know what, you need some time to go back to your membership? Okay, well, here's kind of like the time frame that we're looking at.
We
You don't
won't even
have to
have a lot
adopt-
of information to share with them for at least, a little bit, but we need to know where we're going. In order to get that information, they're focusing on the communities that have adopted the law. That's who's getting the information first, and it takes time. So I do hope that we can act this month and get this done. I don't know what really changes over 2 weeks when this is exactly what we asked for. This is the tool. And people work with the employee groups to educate them. I've been in that police station 6 times talking about health insurance plans. I've been to the firehouse 6 times meeting so I could talk to all the different shifts. I've been down to the DPW yard. We've been out to just about every school holding open houses. This is not something new. These are areas that we've worked on before to try and educate everybody and share with them the trade-offs. I don't want to lay off employees and keep low co-pays. This gives us an opportunity to do that. I don't know what changes between now and November 17th, except we're further behind the 8 ball in time.
Right.
Council Sergeant.
Could I make a motion that we continue this till November 15th with that 17th meeting 2 days later? And at least give these guys some time, men and women, to go through this as we need to go through it and relieve some of that anxiety that's going to come along with this change?
Okay, so you want
This is a committee report. This is from the Committee of the Whole to council tomorrow night. Is that what he's motioning?
Well, Council Sergeant is making a motion to hold off until the November
To keep this matter in committee of the whole till November
Seventh or
15th,
17th?
Tuesday.
17th.
Till Tuesday,
17th or 7th?
Tuesday, November 15th.
Okay.
We meet again on it. Second.
Any second?
Question on procedure.
Counselor,
Is this gonna take 2 or 1 vote? Not his
One vote.
motion on adopting this.
one vote.
Takes one single vote?
On the discussion, Mr. President?
Was there
There's no
second?
second. Council Sergeant made a motion to hold off until November 17th to report this out.
November
The
15th.
vote.
Hold off till, to
It's
continue.
the 17th is the next meeting, isn't it?
Well, we continue this meeting of Committee of the Whole till November 15th. We meet again as Committee of the Whole, as we are tonight, November 15th. Then we can report out as,
So you're making a motion to hold off to have a meeting until November 15th, Committee of the Whole, and then report out
all right, a motion to continue this meeting till
at
November
November
15th.
17th. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Council Prevey. I just have a couple questions. Let's write this. To the mayor. Can you do all that I mean, when I asked you the time frame, what would happen if we voted on this tomorrow? You'd need, just say, 30 days. I don't know how long for this company to do their analysis. And their work, like you said, they're working on other ones, and they prioritize the ones that already passed the law. the majority of the council, I have a feeling, I mean, we could all vote on this tomorrow, but everybody wants to give the unions time, and the unions, would 3 weeks, would that time frame suffice? I mean, I don't understand why we can't get the process, everything going, knowing that on November 17th, we're gonna pass it out. You can start everything going, and then we can vote on it on November 17th. Because you're gonna have to start the process of forming that PEC, and then they have to figure out who they're gonna send over. We have to do the analysis. You can do that all in the meantime without losing time.
So the part of the process that makes it hard is that we have to rely on third parties to gather that information. And obviously, a number of communities are taking steps like this. Then we have to put actuarial comparisons together. And then we have to spend a lot of time analyzing not only the plan design changes that mimic the GIC, but also the GIC options. A lot of that is reliant on Maya officials, GIC officials, and actuarials. They are prioritizing communities that have adopted the legislation. So one of the key triggers for us in getting this legislation adopted is it helps us get that information circle going. So holding it up till November 17th means it's harder for us to really prioritize ourselves as a community to gather that information, start coalescing that information, and even sitting down to talk with the unions about what the options are, because we won't even get some of that information out. So it really, I don't know, I'm trying to describe the process that none of you have to participate in, but everybody on the city staff does, along with trying to set the tax rate, getting free cash certified, coming in here, 2 meetings the council's having. So it's a bandwidth issue as much as it is time. I'm not trying to create anxiety amongst any of our employees. I think everybody knows where this is going. I don't even know if we're going to have unanimous support. Not every councilor has supported the resolutions for this that we've passed and that we've adopted in the past. But putting it to November 17th creates a hardship on the administration to try and get everything done so we can save money for fiscal year 13. That's the bottom line. The council chooses to do that, it's up to this body. I asked for this at the last meeting to be adopted. It went into a committee. We've provided additional information. We're happy to get information to members of the union. I know a lot of the unions are providing information. It would be extremely helpful if we want to save money for fiscal year 13 to have this adopted this October.
Yeah, Councilor O'Keefe.
Madam Mayor, could you just help us out and wait until the 17th?
So I'm trying to be helpful, Counselor. I'm sharing with you the work that we have to do on our end. I'm not trying to be obstinate or difficult. I have a majority of the council who said they support this legislation, who we implored the legislature to act, and they did. Now we have an opportunity to adopt it. It is a process that is complex. Getting information, putting the actuarials together, trying to do the comparisons. We then have to come up with a proposal that we can bring to the unions. I can't start that until you act. So I need you to act. I don't think I'm asking for too much, given our past votes in this body, given our desire to try and save money. And I'm not trying to create hardship. I'm asking you to help me, the partners that we are, try and put together affordable, efficient health insurance for our employees.
Madam Mayor, I think you've got the first-rate team that could pull this off after the council decides. I can't see why we can't give them a little time to think about it. If they just got a letter yesterday, the police just got a letter yesterday, why? I mean, can't we just...
I'm sharing with you the...
That staff is
right.
first rate, and they could help us out here.
Mr. President?
Can't we just bend it a little bit and help the council
I'm just sharing with you our hardships on the city side, the administration, and trying to get this done.
I understand.
So,
Mr. President?
Councilor Sergeant?
Let's not forget, it's not just union people. Every city employee has to come to grips with this and has to deal with it in their own way. And well, you know, I think the time will help them do that. Thank you.
Councilor Sosnowski.
Mr. President, even if we were to compromise and say the 10th, all right, that shaves a week off of that. All right, if even it's the 10th, it gives them some time to do some negotiations. Right, and there's so many good parts of this. I mean, the inclusion of the retirement body, that's an excellent piece to be included into this. All right, but they do need time, and maybe a compromise is the 10th, so we don't go that far out.
Special meeting this week.
I'll take that friendly amendment on the 10th.
I'll echo that. I'll echo that with Counselor Sosnowski. I think that's a happy medium. I don't want to say happy.
Well, nobody's
It's in the
going to be
middle.
happy,
No,
but the
it-
10th
it's in the
is
middle.
better than the
I think the
17th.
17th is pushing it. I think the 10th would be,
Continue this meeting till the 10th? I'll take that friendly amendment.
Council
Clerk,
McCarthy has his hand
On
up.
discussion?
On
Mr. President?
Council McCarthy.
So if, I guess I'm just trying to put my arms around what's going on in here, but I guess the question would be, you asking for a special meeting of the city council? You want to take a vote and adopt this on the 10th? So you're asking for a special
No.
meeting of the city council on
No,
the 10th?
I'm asking to continue this meeting of the committee of the whole till
Well, then the
till the
then
10th or the 15th.
if I may-
If you want to schedule a special meeting of the city council after that, then someone else can make that motion. My motion is to continue this meeting till the 15th, and I'll accept till the
That's
10th
an
to
excellent question.
allow these people to come to grips with this.
Councilor McCarthy.
Thank you, Mr. President, because I guess the question becomes, we can have the meeting on Friday, but if our next meeting is until the 17th, so no matter how we act, if it's gonna take a vote of the city council, it has to be done during a city council meeting, so I guess the question is, if you wanna have it on the 10th, then if the idea is to have a meeting on the 10th and put a vote to this, then that would, if that would have to be, you would have to call for a special meeting of the city council. That's all, I think, if that's what I'm hearing. Because if we just have a meeting of the committee of the whole on the 10th, then it would get referred out of committee on the 10th, and then we'd still be back to the 17th.
Correct.
I agree.
At the
I
same
mean-
night.
I mean, continue this meeting for however how long, serves no purpose, because if we're not gonna vote that night, what's the sense of having it? I mean, pretty much wasting our time. We already went through, we had to go through. I agree if the unions wanna look at it, give them some time, but if that was the case, then let's give them a week or whatever, hold a special meeting, take the vote, get on with it. Because one way or the other, Mr.
Right.
President, this is going through. I honestly believe a majority of the council, we've been down this road when we did the amendments to the State House time and time again. I'd be more than disturbed if somebody who signed one of those doesn't vote for it this time.
Council President.
Council Sergeant.
As we did with the Salem Ferry meeting, when we did funds for the Salem Ferry, we could have a committee of the whole meeting on any date and end that and have a special meeting of the city council right afterwards, as we did when we approved funds for the Salem Ferry. So if it has to be the 10th, then we can continue the committee of the whole until the 10th at 6:30 and have a special meeting of the city council at 7:30. You know? And I would take that,
After the election.
I would have my motion for the 10th.
So
If council president wants to set a special meeting of the city council on the 10th, that would be his prerogative.
Council Lovely.
I just know I have a conflict. I looked at my calendar. I know the 10th I cannot make a meeting. So, I think it's important that the whole body's set. And I agree, the 17th is way too far away.
the 9th?
Madam, Mr. President,
Councilor O'Keefe.
has Councilor Sergeant withdrawn his original motion from the 17th second, which was seconded by Councilor Cleve?
No, it's still up there. He still has the motion to have a meeting on November 15th and then committee of the whole and report out on the 17th. Councilor
Okay, that's-
Sosnowski made an amendment, friendly amendment to change the committee meeting to the 10th. And then Councilor Pinto talked about
Has that been
doing a
accepted by
special
the?
meeting afterwards.
Mr. President, has that been accepted by the originator?
I would accept moving it to the 10th if I could. And I
Fine,
accept
fine.
that friendly.
Joan,
I moved in to be the 10th.
Joan?
No, I can't be there.
Can you? You can't be here? Oh, all right. I withdraw.
Joan, the 9th?
And go.
What, got a
Well,
date,
I'm-
Madam? Madam Counselor, which date?
I think it should be the 7th.
Aye.
November 7th?
We could make it
Ninth
Monday,
works.
Monday, the 7th?
before we could make it Monday, the 14th.
Monday, the 14th? Yeah, 14th.
Is everybody okay on Monday, the 14th?
Council Lovely.
I just have a question. because I just keep thinking about it. What's going to happen between, I know the unions want time to go back to the membership, but we know we're going to vote on this. We know we have a majority of the city council going to vote on it. So what is going to happen between now and the time we vote on it if we extend the vote? We're going to give people more information, which we'd be able to, which they're going to get anyway. I mean, does people think there's going to be a change? Yeah, please answer, because I want to know what's the.
The mayor's had a couple of chances to reiterate her position, and I'm glad you brought that up so that I have the opportunity. What's going to happen is that we're going to have time in the next couple of weeks to provide documentation, maybe have a union meeting, maybe have our lawyer come in and talk to us and explain this. If this is published in the front page of the Salem News tomorrow, bad idea. People in the city that work for the city under the city insurance that have made all these changes already over the last couple of years are going to think immediately we're going to worst case scenario. Their attitudes are going to be in the gutter, and they're going to need to be counseled. So give us a couple of weeks. Give yourself a couple of weeks to be educated on this. Nobody in here can tell me they're an expert by reading this tonight. I sure the hell can. I read the legislature. I couldn't figure hide nor hair of it. Give us a chance to look at the plans. Give us a chance to take some time. You know, I'm not going to speak for every union, but we have some issues that we're dealing with right now, and the last thing we need to know is the potential worst-case scenario for insurance. Another deduction, another cost to our people when we're right about at our wits' end. So that's what's going to happen. Education, research, maybe a union meeting, talk about it. We have our busiest weekend of the whole year in the next couple of days. So this won't even get tossed around until after that. I'm not bringing this to my people, because I'm not going to listen to them every post I'm at on Halloween for the whole 4-day weekend and listen to them whining and stuff. Cut us a favor. Do us a favor here. Don't do this tonight. You know, that'll be a bad idea. Thank you.
Councilor Sosnowski? Oh,
Yeah, I would endorse Councilor Sargent's request for a continuation of the committee of the whole on a particular hour on either the 9th or the 10th. Hopefully the 9th, because maybe Councilor Lovely could make it at that point. And then followed an hour later by a special council meeting where we vote on it right then and there. Right? On either the 9th or the 10th.
Do you want to change your friendly amendment to change it from the 10th
Whichever
to the
one
9th?
works for Councilor
I'll
Lovely.
accept that friendly amendment.
The 9th.
The 9th? Under discussion?
Under discussion, Councilor?
Is this purposely waiting until after the election? I mean, I don't understand why we're going that far in.
I think it's, I mean, from what I've heard tonight, I think this is gonna pass. It's a matter of, I mean, the unions can go back and do whatever they want. It's gonna pass. It's a matter of, is it gonna be tomorrow night, or is it gonna be the 17th, or it's gonna pass. The fact is, they want more time to absorb it, understandably. The other thing goes in my head is like, can we still do all this stuff knowing it's gonna pass? Can the mayor do the analysis and the unions go back to their people and say, don't jump off the cliff, it's not over yet, we need to look at all this stuff? I mean, I'm more inclined to give them the time, but I mean, it's gonna pass, whether it's tomorrow or the 17th. Pretty confident it's gonna pass, like Councilor Lovely said. What's the difference? And Lieutenant Walker explained that he wants to go back to his people and get a little bit more time. And I still think, I still think we can give them the time and you can start the process of getting the analysis. I mean, I don't know, you're the one in the driver's seat as far as once we pass this thing, it's out of our hands. So the mayor, I mean, I still think, from what you said, that you can still start the analysis and get everything going. We can still give them the time and vote on it whatever day, the 9th or whatever. Correct me if I'm wrong. I don't think that a couple weeks is going to hurt them. It's going to help them go back to their union and get prepared for it. It's going to come no matter what. Any other?
Move the question.
Move the question, Mr. President.
Is there a,
Mr. President?
What is the motion?
Why have a meeting on the 15th if we have a scheduled meeting on the 17th?
Not.
Right?
What the amendment was Councilor Council Sergeant made a motion to wait until November 15th, and then have a committee meeting and report out the 17th. Then Council Sosnowski made a friendly amendment that we switch it to the 9th, and have the committee of the whole meeting, and then afterwards, a special meeting of the city council to vote on the legislation. Is that correct?
That's correct. My rationale behind that, Mr. President, is very simple. I mean, I want to give the unions time to meet on this, but at the same time, I'm listening to what the mayor is saying, and yet, she needs time. We can't wait till the end of the year, but, you know, we do need to have, everybody needs to read this a little bit tighter, right? And then, that way there, it's a compromise. I think it's a fair compromise.
I'll second Councilor Sosnowski's amendment.
Councilor Sergeant,
Oh, I'm
I
sorry.
mean, accepted the friendly amendment. Any further discussion? So what it is motion to put this off, keep it in committee until we have another committee meeting on November 9th, and then immediately after have a special meeting of the city council and vote, most likely in the affirmative, or whatever it be at the time. And it was seconded by Councilor Prevey, the original motion. Any other further discussion?
When is the special meeting?
It would be immediately right after, November 9th.
Move the
Roll call
question.
vote, Mr. President.
Don't need a roll call vote.
I'm asking for a roll call vote.
Committee meeting, 3 hands if they want to roll call.
Got two?
1, 2. All right, so it's just a regular vote. Any further discussion? All those in favor of putting it off? Anyone opposed?
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 Favor?
Opposed?
3 opposed.
3 opposed to this amendment? All
You better check that again.
I think that was 4.
right, we'll do it again.
Roll call vote.
Raise your hand if you're in favor of the amendment. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7.
Councilor O'Keefe raised
And
his
again,
hand twice.
favor against this was 1, 2, 3.
Raised your hand twice.
Motion
So,
carries.
yeah, there's only 3 here.
Yeah.
One sec. Council Ronan's not here. So 7 in the affirmative, 3 in the negative. The motion carries to keep in committee until the November 9th meeting, and then we're gonna have a special meeting right afterwards.
Move for adjournment.
Move
Chairman,
immediate
all those in favor?
reconsideration, hope it does not prevail.
I don't need to do that.
Hey. Things are still on TV.
Boy, I'll tell you, sometimes I
So, Joan, you'll...
Good to see you.